it's really difficult to manage those. They either don't have the drive and they're super good at being present and not giving a crap about like what's going on in the world,
Too
or
passive.
yeah, exactly. Or they have
Yeah.
too much drive and they don't know how
They
to
can't be
actually enjoy
present.
the moment. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Hi everyone, I'm off on an adventure today, so I am inside a hotel, so I hope you can all hear me. I have a lovely friend who's going to join me today. His name is Chris Burns. He is dynamic. He is a great creator of helping people find their purpose and learning how to put it out there. So if you're a person who has been craving this really cool desire to start something and live a more purposeful or more passionate life, this topic is for you. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm super excited to get him on. So he should be joining us very shortly. I'm a little bit on the early side. I have a tendency to do that. I keep people on their toes. Just kidding. So anyway, when he tags in, we will start discussing it. But if you would like to share a little bit about maybe something you would like to hear from him directly, as something you're struggling with and you'd like to leave a comment below for us to discuss, or maybe he can even circle back and answer for you later, that would be great. You're welcome to put that down in the comments below. Or if you have anything that you would like me to continue to bring to you guys, and I know we normally do a Wednesday at 9, and this was a special treat and a little extra opportunity that I wanted to grab and take advantage of today. So if you have something that you would like to talk around business, relationships, maybe raising children, got you covered. So by all means, leave a comment, or you can private message me on Tamra at tamrablankenship.com. So we should be seeing our dear friend Chris. Hi, Chris, I see you. Let's get him in here with us. Ah, there you are. Yay, success.
What's up?
Sometimes it's touch and go.
Yep. Awesome.
It's always an extra thrill, right? Like I told you, I like that chaos.
It's always a dance, I love the intuitive flowing. You never know what's going to come next. Dance.
Exactly. It was funny. Chris and I were talking a little bit earlier today, and I was telling him, when he was doing a beautiful job interviewing me earlier, my Wi-Fi went down. So you just got to roll with it sometimes and just let life happen. And I'm sure a lot of my 9 o'clock followers know that it's just, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. We just keep on going, right?
That's right. And I'm making sure that I post this as well. That's another thing. Awesome. We're going to be talking today about purpose, about really mastering your voice and sharing that. And one of the best ways that I do that is with social media. A lot of people take for granted their social media. So I always make sure that when I have a platform, when I have an opportunity to share a message and inspire and empower people, I take that very seriously, and be able to inspire and empower a lot of people in the process.
I love that. So how are you joining or connecting all of these? I mean, and we're going to get right into it, ask you a deep question right off the bat.
Yeah.
For a lot of us who are out there trying to cross-brand some of our social media to different ways, are you tagging it or how are you doing it?
Yeah, so great question. So I'm actually sharing it to my personal profile. I'm sharing it to my public page as well, Becoming Your Greatest Possible Self, where we host our 12-hour marathon. So, I'm able to post it.
Check out.
Yeah. And
it's awesome.
It's a blast. I love it. And so, for me, it's really about posting it in as many places as possible so people can see it. And a lot of people are afraid to do that. They're afraid to put their content out there. They're uncomfortable with putting themselves out too much. And I think a lot of people are not effective at owning their love for what they do and their expertise and their gifts, and sharing that with the world in a very, very empowering and uplifting way.
I so agree. I think we're so programmed to protect and deflect, for survival behavior, which is totally natural. But the opportunity is to navigate them in different ways. So I totally agree. So very cool that you do that. I have to do that better. It's not that I'm afraid to hide. I do it later because I'm not a good multi. It's so funny. I've learned that I'm not big at multitasking in present moments. Like I try, and I know that sounds weird the way I just said that, but I'm trying to really create a live presence experience in everything that I do in the moment. And
Yeah.
sometimes I personally struggle with like, okay, now that I've got that up, what am I doing over here? You know?
Yeah, yeah, no, it's
So
definitely a challenge. I think as we grow, we have a team who can help us. You know, imagine having
yes,
a virtual assistant who's like waiting as soon as you go live. They're waiting with
they're
the
going
copy and the text, and then they press share and they do all this stuff for you. You know,
yes,
that's
wouldn't
really
that be so
it,
great?
systems though. It's systems to create dependable, consistent results. And I think that a lot of entrepreneurs and visionaries and people who want to live their purpose, they're winging it. And I found that habits, rituals, and discipline is the fastest way to really grow yourself and really being consistent so that you stick in people's minds. You stick in the branding of who you are and
Absolutely.
what you stand for.
Absolutely. So branding, that's a great
Mm.
topic. You and I can go off in tangents. It's like going off in
So
different
many.
directions. But before we go into tangents, what I'd like to do is share a little bit about, what you do and how you support people so that they get
Yeah.
a feel for what you're about.
Sure. Well, thank
What's
you,
your
Tamra.
passion?
Yeah, of
Hmm.
course, of course. Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to share with your audience as well as some of my audiences jumping on here. If you're watching live or replay, make sure you type that in the comments so that we know. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask them. I'm happy to respond to the comments as well. Send me a message, send Tamra a message, whatever. I run a weekly 12-hour live stream marathon called Becoming Your Greatest Possible Self. It's all about empowering people to become their greatest possible self. I interview leaders, role models, experts, world changers to help our audience be inspired with the resources, the connections, the strategies, the stories to be able to grow and outgrow anything that they're facing and really overcome that. So that's one side of things. I've been doing that for a little over 2 years, interviewed almost 550 of these amazing individuals. And on the other side, I really help people with their purpose, presence, and platform as a coach. And so people who are struggling to get their message out, whether they're experts who are just wanting to expand and build a bigger community and serve their community with their gifts and their love and their wisdom and experience. I love helping people with podcasts to get their message out as the vehicle. And I also love helping people to dive into their purpose and their message, who they are, what they stand for, why they're really here. Because I went through a lot of years, and I know we're going to be talking about this, through a lot of years feeling full of anxiety, full of stress, overwhelmed, feeling like I don't got it yet. I'm not there yet. I don't understand who I
Right?
am. And it was just so like soul crushing because I was so hard on myself and I just wouldn't be in the present moment. I wouldn't be enjoying myself. So there's a lot of self-sabotage and stuff that I had to deprogram to be able to step into my own greatest possible self.
Right. A lot of anxiety and a lot of faulty belief systems. Absolutely. We do.
Yep.
It's so funny. I don't know if you found this to be true. I have become addicted to, I guess addiction is probably a bad way. I find it playful to go
Mm-hmm.
into some of those spaces and kind of redefine what I used to believe about
Yes.
reality.
Yeah.
I found it really playful to just remold and,
Mm-hmm.
why do I think that way? Or why do I have a fear around that? What's that all about?
Yeah.
And really get a
Yeah.
chance to expand that emotional range.
I
So I
love it.
do.
I love it.
I agree with
Tamara, this
you.
is gold. This is so gold. This is like, I feel like we have so much great energy and wisdom to share on these, especially your
Yes.
story. What drives people is their story, their identity. And when you master your ability to take what happened, the facts, the depression, the rape, the suicidal thoughts, the heartbreak, the bankruptcy, whatever, what happened, without the judgment, without the guilt, without the shame, and you learn how to transform that into something that inspires and empowers people saying, hey, I was once there, look at where the heck I'm at now and all the impact that I'm making in people, and just use that as a catalyst to call people forward into their greatness is so, so powerful. And I love teaching our clients how to do that as well. I think we got a question. How do you deprogram?
Yes. Yeah. Well, I was going to ask you. So how do you define that first of all?
Yeah, yeah. So as far as deprogramming, I believe we are born as perfect souls and perfect light beings, perfect people childs
Absolutely.
and babies with infinite potential and love. And over time, society and our environment conditions us to be normal, to fit in. That's all I wanted to do is to make other people happy and not rock the boat. So if you've ever felt like that, like you
People
cared so much.
pleasing.
Yeah, if you cared so much about what people thought that you couldn't step into your truth, then this is exactly where you're supposed to be. This is the right place for you, and we're going to be diving into how to really break through that. As far as me,
Absolutely.
I had to go back into those old stories and past limiting beliefs like you were talking about, Tamara. And there's a lot of different ways to do it. You could simply list out what are my negative beliefs and write those down. What are the negative beliefs? Write those down, cross them out, and put a more positive belief. That's a very kind of manual method, very basic. Use paper and pen. Awesome.
Yeah.
Now, when you get to more advanced levels, you can also go through like childhood healing, right? You can go back to your 6-year-old self, and it's not rocket science. I've done it. I've just like imagined myself going and talking to my 6-year-old self and saying, Chris, like, what do you need? 6-year-old Chris, what do you need? And then he's like, you know, I don't feel loved. I don't feel safe. I don't feel like I matter, something like that. And then I just give that to that 6-year-old self. And this might sound woo-woo, sound a little bit weird, but it's really these parts and aspects of ourselves are not integrated, and they feel disconnected. They feel fractioned. They are not yet a part of us and
Yes.
loved and accepted. So when we can give them those things that they needed at the time that they needed them in our minds, it completely transforms how we show up today.
Absolutely. I also believe I see why you would, why people believe it to be woo-woo, but it really isn't. What it is going back and giving validation to the voice that was lost back when you were a
Yeah.
child. A lot of us think that we, oh, I just, you shelf it, you minimize it, you put it in a box and try to avoid this repetitive feeling. But the truth is, you still have those belief systems. And until you open it up, explore it, understand it, rationalize that, okay, wait a minute, this is a belief I came up with because of,
Yeah.
and recognizing that those belief systems are established because of the mindset you had at that age. And that's why it's so important. They call it, you probably have heard of this, called inner child work.
Yeah.
But really it is an inner pain work. It was the last moment you actually felt it was when you were a child. So that's where that belief system comes from, or where that label comes from. But I agree with you. Writing it out is a great way of going through it, and sitting with your inner child and acknowledging the emotions of a child's mindset, and see if you're still running those tapes. I personally, if I may throw one in, I personally have found even talk therapy, I think, has a tendency to be overdone, but I truly believe the most powerful way to shift people is to be a witness. So if you can find someone who can listen to you with non-judgment and just unconditional love and support, a lot of these belief systems, once you hear them outside of yourself, you're like, huh, I don't even know why I think that. Or where'd that one come from? Oh, that's my mom, or that's my dad, or that's my neighbor down the street, or that's my teacher from 3rd grade. You can actually start to hear some of these faulty programs that you've been running based on approval. Like we said earlier, a lot of us are people pleasers.
Yeah.
Or are survivors, I should say, because I truly believe people pleasers are survivors. You fall into that system and you start using those coping skills, right?
Yeah.
So do
And
you
I think
find,
I was going to say,
go
it's
ahead.
important to know, like, when you have that wound when you were younger. Like for me, my dad, we were driving, me and my dad were driving to our cabin, and I am constantly asking questions. I'm super curious. And I asked this question, like, if you throw a baseball going at a car that's coming the opposite direction and they throw a baseball, what speed do they hit at? Like these crazy off the wall questions. And he's like, Chris, don't you ever like just be quiet? And like in that moment, I made it mean, oh, I shouldn't ask questions. I shouldn't be curious. I shouldn't like be in wonder about the world. And it shut down my play and my creativity. And for a lot of years, I thought I just had to work my ass off and like work really, really hard and then achieve and earn the love of my dad. And that totally wasn't the case. And I know he's always loved me, but that was a story that I really created that disempowered me and didn't allow me to step into my self-expression and own my voice and be curious and playful and engage with people.
Yes, actually, I did study hypnotherapy. I was just going to answer this question real quick. For inner child work. And yes, it does work great if you're unconsciously unaware of the inner program and the stories you tell yourself. So it's a good way to find them and unlock them if you're finding resistance. I've actually personally discovered that being more present to life and recognizing some of those pop-ups, the things that I'm resisting, is just stories from the past that I'm getting an opportunity to unwind. So I don't even look back as much anymore, as much as I celebrate the experience that's showing up and get a chance to rewrite or explore it from a different perspective. So how do you navigate that? Have you ever gone back and done hypnosis on your childhood, or did you not need that?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think I was willing to do whatever it took to create success and to create growth in me. You know, I was going through that stressful time. I ended up hitting rock bottom at 21 years old, partying, drinking, throwing away my life, you know, feeling like I had to prove that I was tough enough, that I was macho enough, feeling this deep wound inside of me that I'm not man enough, that I'm not enough. I had to prove myself and achieve and make enough money and have enough success and, you know, get the woman. It's like I was constantly never measuring up in my own mind. And so I did whatever I could. You know, I threw every freaking tool at the problem that I possibly could. I went to seminars, I did NLP, I did hypnosis, I did childhood healing, I did all this work, journaling, reading, you know, meditating, everything I possibly could, because I was so ferociously committed to stepping into my self-expression, to owning my purpose, because I knew there was like this divine like drive in me to get past whatever I was stuck with. And I knew based on my evidence of am I hitting my results? Am I achieving my goals? Like am I where I want to be in life? No? Okay, well then I'm not truly tapped into my power. I feel like something's missing. I feel like I haven't hit my stride yet. And I didn't have a lot of grace and compassion for myself back then. So it was a lot of critical, negative self-talk. But over time, I learned how to channel that drive and that constant yearning for more with being present and being here and now. And I think a lot of people, it's really difficult to manage those. They either don't have the drive and they're super good at being present and not giving a crap about like what's going on in the world, or
too passive.
Yeah, exactly. Or they have too much drive and they don't know how to actually enjoy the moment. Exactly. Yeah.
I do. I see that a lot as well. I personally have learned to, that's why I think I always seek balance. And I've learned to not even say the word balance as much, because I think a lot of people define balance as a lack of either direction, but it's more of a flow for me. You know what I'm saying? I know it's like, you know, uncommittal because you're balanced.
It's more like centeredness and the ability
centered is a great, yes, it's a better word. And also I have found to go in the flow. I don't know if you get what I mean by this, but sometimes you're on the high and sometimes you're on the low of an emotion. And when you're emotionally low, it's very difficult to connect to balance, especially like I personally have been going through a real interesting week where everything that could go wrong went wrong. And I was like, oh, this is pretty funny. This is like, there's really cool opportunities to see, can you navigate the intensity of chaos and still hold a sense of balance in your emotions, or a sense of center in your emotions. And it was really fun. I know it sounds really demented to say it that way, but it was an opportunity to play with that.
It's a gift.
And so I have learned to not look at any of the issues as necessarily right, wrong, good, or bad, but a cool opportunity to learn something more about myself.
Yeah.
And so is that the same approach you have, the same playful approach to
now, yes, not 5 years ago. No, I beat myself up. But it was through gratitude, like really being grateful and not judging what the universe was delivering to me. You know, like I became unattached to circumstances rather than being attached and dependent on things going how I wanted them to, and like kind of being in control, right? I wanted to be in control all the time and have things go the way I wanted to. And I just kept getting all these lessons from the universe, God, source, creator, life, whatever you want to call it, like to surrender, to jump in the flow and just take it a little bit easier, Chris. Like you're doing great, you know, and to pat myself on the back and say, great job. You know, you showed up today, you jumped on an interview today, you made a call, you did your habits. And I think a lot of people are missing that foundation of habits, of gratitude.
I want to accentuate, sorry if I was overlapping you. I want to accentuate something. You were talking about, it's not about necessarily the goal as much as it is a step towards the goal. And I always say, it's not about the end of the journey. It's the journey itself that we're supposed to be playful in. And I feel like there's a congruency there. You're like talking about being very rhythmic and just stepping forward. Because if you don't move, you're failing. So if you're at least moving, you're in the flow of something possible. So I think it's really cool that you that.
And I think it's like, what is movement in the first place? Maybe movement is taking time to cancel every freaking thing on your schedule and take some time to yourself and go to nature. Maybe that's the movement. That's the direction that you need. That's the healing, you know? It's like, it's really looking at what is needed, what feels missing. And I just really look at, am I
embodied
super wound
behavior.
up? Yeah, am I super wound up? Am I super just feeling like I need to get somewhere? Well, I need some freaking nature. I need to relax. I get to meditate. I get to come back to this place of centeredness. And I think I saw Frederick, I think his name is. He asked about the morning routine and ritual. See,
Yes,
this
yes,
is
yes,
awesome. I love that question. And for
yes.
everyone, it's gonna be different. You're gonna find out what's working for you. You have your own life rituals, routines. You have your own way of learning. You have different modalities
Yes.
that are at higher value levels and lower value levels than me. So everything is really custom dependent on you. Find out what works for you.
Mhm.
As far as for me, I journal. Okay, I journal about what I'm grateful for. I ask myself a series of questions. What am I grateful for? Why am I so happy? Who do I love? What is my purpose today? You know, it's like really just getting present to the day, because every day is a new opportunity to set your sights, to set your course again. So that's really important. I read every day. I meditate for about 10 to 15 minutes. And then also, I have been really expanding my abundance. So I do this exercise where I get 1,000 extra dollars. They're like vibrational dollars, right? They're energetic dollars. And I ask myself, how would I spend these 1,000 extra dollars? And you get up to like $50,000 a day, $100,000 a day. You're like, wow, I really have to expand what's possible, because coming from a place of like lack or scarcity, you're like, I could never spend. Or it's almost like, for me, I came from, well, oh, I would know what to do with that when I had it, like, of course, but we actually don't. If you didn't have that habit ingrained into you, if you didn't grow up like wealthy and stuff, then it's kind of a muscle that hasn't been developed yet. So for me, I really expanded my sense of abundance, and I've been attracting so many new clients and awesome things because of that exercise of how would I use this money
Neat.
wisely and save and give to causes I believe in when I'm doing this. So there's so many awesome things to do.
That is a very cool technique. I like that. I'm gonna
Yeah.
adapt that one. Yeah.
Yes.
So, do you find yourself doing any kind of physical regiment in the morning
Oh.
outside of that was all emotional? Because I know I catch
Yep.
you at the gym. You're like me every morning at the gym. So
Yep.
I'm
Yep.
always like,
Yeah.
I can hear those weights clicking in the background. I know what you're doing.
I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I've gotten to this point of like I'm on autopilot. It's lifestyle. It's not like I have to work myself up to get there. I make sure that I'm enjoying myself in my
Right.
working out. So wherever people are at in their fitness and healthy lifestyle regime, do what you enjoy. Go swim, try new things. Basketball, whatever it is for you.
Yeah.
Exactly, walk. Whatever feels good. Go dance. But for me, I came from doing football. I started working out my senior year of high school. Okay, and I'm like, the skinniest guy in the room practically, and I start working out, and I knew I wanted to be healthy and have longevity in my life. So I was committed to that. And a couple times I fell off the track, but at this point it's just like so ingrained, and that's who I am, and that's what I stand for, is health and vitality and energy. And that's really how I can do a 12-hour marathon, because I have great cardio capacity. I have great, endurance from challenging myself and playing and having fun in the gym to grow.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I do think having that structure, you get up in the morning, you don't even think about it, you just go.
Yeah.
You're automatically geared up to be in that space, and feels, because you accomplished that, you already are setting the tone for the day for success.
Yeah.
And before you know it, if you do have a sense of anxiety or anything going on for the day, you've already kind of got the proper hormones in your body that help you persevere and help you have that confidence that
Yeah.
is so powerful. I personally get up like when I gotta like regress. I used to get up every single morning at 4 o'clock. I still get up at 4 o'clock, but I used to go hike every morning
Wow.
and then do yoga and then go and do the gym, getting back into it. But what's so funny is I went through a phase where I recognized that even became very taxing on the body. So I pulled some things back. And
Yeah.
I think it's important to create balance, like
Yep.
it's okay to still get up at the normal time, but I had to modify. I do a lot of
Yeah.
meditation, a lot of yoga, but my body was not is open to such aggression in the morning or such a
Yeah.
push.
It's the
So it
seasons.
is.
It's knowing the seasons
Yes,
that you are
yes.
in and what is being called for. I love that you said that, because at a certain point you were in a season of let's go hiking, let's do yoga every day. That's what my
Yes.
body, that's what my expansion is calling for. For me, I do this 12-hour marathon every single week, right? So I do 12 hours straight every Wednesday. that's not going to be sustainable forever. You know, I know at some point I'm going to bring in team members and people to be able to help me, someone else possibly even to run it. You know, I'm building the systems and the framework so that it can be carried on, because it works, it's awesome, and I don't want to have to be tied to that forever. I'm loving it. I love it so much. I could sit in that thing all the time, every single week, forever. And I know that there's better and greater things to do in my message, in my calling, in my purpose in life. So I think it's really important for people to get present to what's the season that they're in. What do you need to commit to? Do you need to commit to, and not need as an obligation, but need as in what is required for you to get to your next level, to expand, to evolve? Maybe it's sending 5 messages a day. Maybe it's making 5 calls a day. Maybe, like, it really depends on what your area of growth is. If it's health and wellness, maybe it's a commitment of getting to the gym a certain times of a week, or eating a certain diet. So for me, I really just started getting clear on what is required of me to be committed to get to those results. Because if I'm not taking those actions, small actions that add up over time on a near daily basis, then I'm just hoping to get there one day. I'm hoping to have the breakthrough. I'm hoping that, you know, we get the instant gratification. And for me, I've gotten to this place of wisdom that's not reliable. It's not count-onable. So I'm going to count on the daily small actions over time that really make the big difference. And I can't hear you. Did your headphones come out? Did my headphones come out? You think it's your phone? I think I'm reading your lips. I can't hear you yet. No, I can't hear.
Now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I think the sun is messing with my phone, and so my phone is taking over the show. I'm like, oh, this is interesting. That's pretty funny. I'm like, all of a sudden the sound's changing on my phone while we're talking, and new screens are popping up. I'm like, something's going on. You know me, I like the chaos. I kind of admit to it. So funny. But what I was going to say is, a lot of the times we find having structure creates safety, and I think having systems in place help us become more successful. But also, like I was saying earlier, to create the grace and compassion around when things fall out of balance. It's okay. It's not, you've got to learn to go in that flow of life and not be controlled. And, you know, if like something's not going right or something is going right, how do you navigate the freedom and be present to what's showing up, instead of trying to, like, I want this. This is what I want. So I'm pouring all my energy into this is what I want to have happen, but yet still create a flow of success. And I've learned, I don't know if it's the same for you, but I've learned to kind of be in the rhythm of it and be playful with it, but also keeping my eye focused on the end game, the goals that I want to achieve, but not be in the expectation of it has to be this set way or this set up specifically.
This is gold. And I know, especially for your audience, talking about when they're experiencing anxiety, when they're experiencing frustration and overwhelm, it might be difficult for them to take the leap from there to like play and joy and abundance, right? So I started off very, very like baby steps. What if I'm like, let's say a 3 or a 4 out of 10 in terms of my happiness, in terms of my peace, in terms of my play? What can I do to get an extra +1, +2, so I get to 5 or 6 out of 10? What could I do in this moment? What could I do today to take it up a notch? Not to go from 3 or 4 to 10 out of 10 and playing and abundant and free, but what could I do to create a little bit more freedom today? What could I do to create a little bit more play? Maybe it's just a little dance. Maybe it's telling someone you love them. Maybe it's just being grateful for what you have right now, even though it's not perfect. Be grateful that you're not, you know, living in a third world country. Be grateful that you have technology and social media so that you can get access to the answers and the coaches and the people who can really make a difference for you. So I think that that's something I started off doing, is knowing that little things compounded over time make a big difference. And when people are looking to discover their purpose and they're seeking, I've found that just being grateful that I'm on the path is like so much. So many people overlook that the desire to discover their purpose is like everything. If you don't have that, then you wouldn't even know. You wouldn't know that you don't know your purpose. You'd just be a sheep. You'd be asleep. You'd be just trying to fit in. But the fact that you are committed and you've made a decision to discover your purpose and work on it on a daily basis and have grace for yourself, that is everything. So celebrate the heck out of that. Like literally jump up and down and say hallelujah, because I am on the journey, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think that a lot of the times we have expectations and judgments about our even personal growth or our status of success or based on, but it's really like we were talking about earlier, you set the tone based on how you set your, if you do something, you get feedback. I always look at everything in life as feedback. It's not right, wrong, good or bad, it's just feedback. So if it's going in a direction you don't really care for, how do you coax your clients to navigate it in a different direction? Do you have any like tidbits that would help somebody? Okay, I'm invested in this belief. What can I do, and how do I put it out there?
Okay, so let's give a practical example. Recently, I had some challenges, on disagreements with my business partner. Like we have a very healthy system for like disagreeing with each other. We have open dialogue and debate. It's awesome. And there's a certain portion of me who wants him to change because I see things one way, and I'm like, my way is better, right? Okay, so if I'm
don't we all think so?
Right. If I'm attached to that, it's going to create disharmony. It's going to create discord, disempowerment if I'm attached. So what I've done is I have simply celebrated what I want in my relationship, in my business partnership. And this is getting into like attracting your dream life, right? Side note again, when I attracted the woman of my dreams, my girlfriend, I got crystal clear on who she is. I started speaking about her, visualizing her, and celebrating that she's already in my life before she ever came in. Same thing over here with my business partnership. I am celebrating my dream business partnership, the ultimate ideal vision and version of that. And as long as I stay grateful that that is on its way, that is here now, I get to experience it, I'm not attached to seeing it manifest in my reality because I can imagine it. And honestly, I've gotten to this point where I value the imagination and creation of it in my mind just as much as seeing it in reality, which is a really powerful place to be in. So I'm grateful for I can create it. And whatever happens in reality, I know that things are going to work themselves out. Like the right things that are supposed to happen at the right perfect times. So I just get to trust the process. And whenever I'm attached, I focus on what are the good things in this specific area. Like, for example, for my business partner, what are the good qualities that I really love and appreciate about him? What are the good things that I love about how our business runs and how we're able to communicate? So let's talk about finances. A lot of people are stressed out about finances. What can you celebrate about your finances? Can you celebrate that you were trusted with money to be able to have credit? Can you be grateful that you have enough money to pay your bills? Can you be grateful that you're making thousands of dollars a month? What can you be grateful for? Let's talk about health and wellness. Do you have arms? Do you have eyes? Do you have, lungs that work decently? Do you have feet? Can you move? Can you walk? What can you be grateful for about what is? Maybe you don't have
no matter how
health.
Small, no matter how small, it doesn't matter. Even if you're borrowing, so like the finance one, if you have the ability to lean on someone during your financial struggles, that is a huge sense of gratitude because being alone when you're in struggle is the biggest issue. We all feel alienated or abandoned. So if you have someone who can support you in these experiences, or if your health is falling apart and there's someone standing by you as you're going through these difficult, emotional times, I think there's always something to be grateful for. I think our short-sighted perspective of lack and this desire to stay in lack creates those disconnections. And so I think when you talk even communication and anxiety or relationships, my world, it's always that, like you're talking about, you're not focusing on what is working, you're focusing on what's not working. And
Yep.
when you
And
do that, you
especially,
draw on what's more of what's not working.
yeah, especially I know universal statements are really disempowering for people. So she is always like that. He is always like that. I am never blank. I never have money in my bank account. Oh, I never get
Yes.
a lucky break.
Yes.
Oh, I never get the
I
whatever,
never
right?
win anything.
Right. It's
Yeah,
like
right.
that never or always is
Yes.
rarely ever true. So it's really be
Mhm.
highly aware of that. I think if one people could have a
Internal dialogue.
magical wand to transform anything in their life, I think awareness would be and presence would be one of the biggest things that make the biggest difference.
Yeah, that internal dialogue is a killer. You
Yeah.
know, it is fascinating. People, I want to kind of bring up something because you're totally talking about something that I think people don't, I think they connect to it as being woo woo, like
Hmm.
positive affirmation statements or positive thinking, da da da. There's a real important element to understand why it works that I don't
Hmm.
think is discussed on a deep level. Joy is what we're all here to have. We're all here to seek our joy. And the quickest way to connect to joy is to show gratitude or to be in a
Hmm.
gratitude mindset. When we are in anything other than gratitude, we're disconnected to our
Hmm.
connection of joy. We are literally putting out there negative thoughts, even if there's such a state of collapse that, you know, nothing's working and everything's falling apart. When you start focusing on that, that element is stealing from your joy. And it's a birthright to have joy. So
Hmm.
you would be physically ill, drained emotionally, feeling fatigue because you're disconnected from your joy. And I think it's
Hmm.
important for us to understand that the reason it works is because it's a natural state of our heart connection. Joy lives within us, not outside of
Yeah.
us. And this
Yes.
is the way we can connect to it. So I love that
Hmm.
you're bringing that up because it's a very big element to how do you connect to your joy is what the things you were
Hmm.
talking about is, you know, the words we use are very,
Yeah.
very empowering or disempowering.
Also,
So
in
it's,
terms of your purpose, like you said, we're here to be joy, to experience
yeah,
joy. Like your
to
purpose
connect to
is
it.
to, yeah,
Hmm.
is to be happy, is to be fulfilled, and to discover how do you create that. It's like you have these amazing
Yes.
tools and gifts and abilities and muscles that you've been given from birth called joy to create that and create
Hmm.
gratitude in your life. Over time, you may have forgotten how to use them. That's okay. Right now, you are becoming aware, you're listening to this, you're hearing this message, and for whatever reason, you resonated with it, you attracted it into your life, and you're on this journey of either being extremely joyous or growing your joy so that you can be on purpose with your purpose. And I think a lot of people are wanting their purpose to be wrapped in a shiny bow and like this mission statement that they can so crystal clear speak, and that's who they are, that's what they stand for, and that people can count on them for that. And I think that is not even the point. It's a great byproduct, but I think the point is just saying, man, I'm on the journey, I'm on the path, and so far this is what I have, and this is who I know myself as. I'm open to it evolving and changing and shifting over time. And when people come from that place of all there is now, yesterday's gone, tomorrow's not promised, so all I have is right now. How can I create a little bit more joy today? How can I create a little bit more clarity today? Show me that clarity,
Yes.
show me that joy, and just really invite it into your life. I think that's huge.
Yes, yes. And I'm not ignoring this other gentleman's posts. I just they're coming in a lot and fast, so we'll have to circle back and answer those later. I don't know if you'd mind if we do that later,
Sure.
Chris, if you don't mind, because I lost too many of them. I don't want to go back.
Yes.
But he's bringing up a lot of very interesting topics and things for us to address. So about
Yeah.
third world countries, and I think there's a lot of you know, since we are in a world platform here, I do
Yeah.
want to honor the fact that there are different emotional and financial assets.
Yeah.
And that's why I think it's so important for us to understand joy is a plethora within our souls. It's not
Yes.
whatever that defined joy is for you. It may not be financial, it may be relationships, it may
Hmm.
be anything. Whatever your purpose is for the reason you being here on this planet is, it's up
Hmm.
to you and it's your responsibility to find it. And
Yeah.
that's why I was so honored to bring Chris here, is because the whole idea of having your purpose and understanding who you are and what you offer the world is essential. But how do you also show up with it? I mean, how do you
Hmm.
live that magnificence and how do you pull into that world? Because I think that's a direct disconnect. A lot of us people will think, you know, I have a purpose, I know I should be doing, or they go into that shoulda, coulda, wouldas,
Hmm.
and they disconnect from showing up and being
Yeah.
present to the gifts of what they have to offer each other. we are so powerful people as individuals. And then when we come together in a collective, we're magnified. So I
Yeah.
think it's really important to understand. So when you work with your clients and they're having struggles in finding their purpose, are you working with them before they found their purpose, or are you
Yeah.
usually
Yeah.
helping them? Okay.
Yeah. So
So how do
absolutely.
you help them?
It really, so there's two really powerful groups of people I work with. People who are already crystal clear on their purpose. They're coaches, experts,
Hmm.
authors, speakers. They know they're world changers, and it's all about, how do I amplify this? How do I do it more
Yes.
successfully? There's also people who are like, man, I know I'm meant for more, but I just don't quite have the confidence and the courage and the greatness. Like, I'm not able to communicate it as effectively yet. So
Or
when people
touch
are
it.
still, yeah, exactly. When
They're
people
like,
are
I know
still,
it's here, but I don't know what it
right.
is.
Where?
What
So
is
when
it? Yeah,
people are
exactly.
figuring out their purpose, I really have them get clear on their past and how their past, how they can connect those dots to lead to the present moment. How did you get to where you are today? Why did you do that? Okay. So on my own personal journey, I look back and I said, man, well, I really loved sports. I really loved video games. I really loved like growing myself in these characters and playing. I really love that stuff. And I also came from a place of not having a voice, not feeling like I was heard or
Mm,
anyone cared
yeah.
what I had to say. So I put those together and I said, well, if something that's important to me is being heard and being felt and being seen and loved, why don't I help other people do that? And so that's partly, I didn't have the ability to like put those together before the 12-hour marathon was launched, but I saw like after a while, man, that's who I am. That's what my soul called for. It kind of like lined everything up
Mm,
for me before I even knew it. But I had been on the journey of looking back at my past and my story and organizing that into a way so I can share it and create a direction for my future. Here's the thing, when you are working with your purpose and like communicating that, most of the time you're going to be off track, right? It's like a plane that takes off and is going towards its destination. They say it's off track a couple degrees most of the time because it's hard to like be pinpoint precise. There's wind, it knocks it off track, whatever, right? So on your
right.
journey of owning your purpose and sharing your message in the world, you are going to be discovering who you really are. Don't expect it to be crystal clear and perfect in that journey. So I have people look back, when did you experience pain? What were the things that happened to you that didn't
Mm.
happen to other people? Maybe you had like the perfect life. Maybe you had like everything work out and it was an easy life for you. Well, how did your parents provide that for you? How can you educate people on how to have parents that, or how to be parents that provide a great,
Provide that.
comfortable
Yeah.
life for their kids? Maybe that's something that you teach on. Look at what makes you unique. Look at what you feel, man, this doesn't make me unique. This makes me just like everyone else. When you say that, that's what you're taking for granted. You're taking for granted your experience,
Hmm.
your reality, your story. And if you can just look at that and say, this is what
Yes.
makes me me, and how can I maximize it? How can I serve people with this gift, with this experience, with this wisdom? That's where you really start to own your purpose.
That is awesome. I
Mm.
love that. So share with me how everyone can find you, and I will repost it down below
Boom,
so that they
you
can get
got
a
it.
hold of it.
I love it. I love it. So first off, Facebook. We do the 12-hour marathon on my profile. I commented in the video. I can comment again after it's done. But look for me every Wednesday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Come join us on the 12-hour marathon. Second of all, look for us on iTunes, beyourgps.com/iTunes, and you can find us there, or search Become Your Greatest Possible Self and listen to the podcast, or you can go to our website, beyourgps.com, and get all that information. We have some awesome freebies and cool stuff for you there to help you get your message out, maximize your interviews. If you want to increase your performance and just have accountability and increase your success, there's also stuff on there for that as well. So I'm all over. Search Chris Burns and you'll find me, and I look forward to supporting you however I can, helping you get your message out. And if this was valuable for you, let me know. Send a message to Tamra. Let us know, and just
Absolutely.
keep us in the loop about how this is making a difference. What was your biggest takeaway? And also, how are you living your purpose? How can
Great.
we support you in doing that even more effectively?
Excellent. I really appreciate you, Chris, for being here. You're so amazing. We'll
Thank
definitely
you,
do
Tam.
this again.
Yes. Yes.
Yay.
I
So if
love
you
it.
liked this episode or would like to learn about other episodes, by all means, go ahead and follow me on YouTube. That's where I put all of this great stuff that I've been collecting from all these amazing people that I've met and have learned from in my
Mm.
personal journey as I navigate myself and my individual clarity. So love you all and wish you a best, beautiful week ahead. See you guys next week.
See
Thanks,
ya.
Chris.
Bye.
Bye.